welcome to NP3. I think I had some technical difficulties with that first attempt here, so it appears that I'm back on, and yep, there it just popped up on YouTube. So I think we're good now, so hopefully this will be a little lower resolution, but a little better frame rate, a little more stable. So starting over again, this was Eclipse Day, so I was up at just before 3 o'clock and on the road about 3, and the drive was pretty smooth. Didn't run into many people until about 2/3 of the way there. I was past Faithful. So I'm staying in Big Sky, which is northwest of Yellowstone. So you exit through West Yellowstone, and then it's about 40 or 50 miles. 40 or 50 miles north to Big Sky. So coming down from here through West Yellowstone, through Old Faithful, and then south out of Yellowstone into Grand Teton. And it wasn't until I picked up the road coming down from the lake and from the canyon that traffic really got, and it wasn't slowed, it was just a pretty steady stream of vehicles moving along there. And so traffic was no problem. Got right into where I wanted to park, near Jenny Lake. It's interesting. I mean, a lot of cars, there's so many different places to go. So like all the sort of turnout parking lots in Grand Teton were pretty full, which for 6 in the morning when I was going through was pretty unusual. And then the parking lots where I parked. So I actually started in String Lake. So this is just north of Jenny Lake, but in that, if you're familiar with Grand Teton at all, I was on the north side of Jenny Lake, and then started my hike from there. Again, I didn't know beforehand if this was going to be a deal where on the trail I would see, hundreds of people, or if I would see nobody. And it was actually kind of a normal, for a trail like that, it was kind of a normal amount that I would expect to see on the trail. Now, of course, at 6, 7 in the morning, you wouldn't. So it's kind of normal for what you'd see midday, but just kind of moved up to earlier in the day as a lot of people were trying to get straight to Hidden Lake. I think there's probably not a massive group, but there's probably a pretty solid group of people there watching the eclipse. And I decided after yesterday, when I had that chance at 11:30 yesterday to do some sample shooting and how high the sun was in the sky, I decided to instead, my original plan was to go down Cascade Canyon until I hit the fork, and then take the fork right towards Lake Solitude, and somewhere in that North Fork of Cascade Canyon would be where I would try to shoot from, because that should frame up. I haven't been through there, so but it aligns well with where the eclipse was going to be, and with some of the highest peaks in the park, including Grand Teton. But what I decided after yesterday's experiment was that was just going to leave the sun was going to be too high in the sky, and that would leave too much space between the peaks and the sun, and it wouldn't be the image I wanted. So if I figured if I stayed in the main section of Cascade Canyon towards the west end, towards not all the way or past the fork, that would give me, it would keep me close to the peaks, and it would give me the hopefully the frame I want. So then the key thing became trying to really find foregrounds, and I was hoping to find some water, some moving water from the creek that runs through the middle of Cascade Canyon, and use that as a foreground and as kind of something to help lead the eye into the landscape image. And I just wasn't finding what I wanted, and I really had that in my head that I wanted to get use some moving water. And then I found a group of people who were kind of in this bend in the creek, and they were setting up, and they were all excited about it, and were sure that was the spot. And it wasn't a bad spot, but I went through there 3 times, and as I looked at it, it just didn't seem right to me. And then a little back farther towards the trailhead, I mean, this is all within from where I shot and where those other photographers were. I mean, this is within half a mile, quarter mile along the trail. But I found a boulder, and it's like, I think I can do something with this boulder. I think I can use this to kind of hide some of the scrub that was between the trees and the camera position, and I think I can use this to help just create some sort of, to kind of ground the image. And that's something I really look to do in a lot of my images is there a rock feature or something I can use to ground the image. And so I was like, it wasn't a huge boulder. I was like, I think I can do something with this. And so then I had kind of like gave myself permission to not have water in the foreground, which, and then I was really kind of, stressed out probably isn't the word, but I was starting to get concerned that, I wasn't going to get the image I wanted, because I just couldn't find the right combinations of things. But deciding to use this boulder, I think, solved the problem, and I'll show the images in a little bit here, at least my rough edits of them. I'm not done editing the images yet, but I think it accomplished the goals I had. So then I was set up, and I got there. I finally decided that was the place about half an hour before the eclipse started. And then from there, it was just getting set up, and God, that half hour went, the first 20 minutes of the half hour went just incredibly, incredibly fast. And then once I was all set up, then the last 5-10 minutes was just, it just seemed like, come on, I want to see the total, and so that went a little slow, but at least I knew I should be able to get a good image. So then, I shot, so totality started, and the thing I found was it was just a whole lot more intense than I expected to be. I got just like what must have been the biggest shot of adrenaline my body can deliver, and kind of started like hyperventilating, and everything that I had this plan for, I'm going to run through these exposures, and then I'm going to use the second camera to get some closer up shots. And it's a good thing I kind of practiced all this before, because I at least had some version of autopilot that I could go through this with. And without that, I think I would have been in big trouble, because I think that was the thing that really kept me going. I see that I'm dropping some frames, so apologies. I'm trying to see if I'm trying to like not go too fast if if I miss something from when it drops frames. So if you want to leave any questions in the chat box, that should be to the right, or else see, there it goes again, I think. But so if you want to leave questions in the chat box, or if you missed something or just have questions, feel free to do that. But So I shot the eclipse. I did get through all of the images eventually, all the exposures I wanted to shoot. And then it was so strange. I've never quite, almost the closest thing I've had to this feeling was like if I haven't done a triathlon in a long time and I hit the water and I'm excited and I get the adrenaline and I start hyperventilating. That's kind of what it felt like. And so afterwards, it looks like I'm back. Hello. I think running that video might have been too much for my connection. I'll have to post that somewhere, just for everyone's comic entertainment. I'll probably post it on the Facebook page tonight. So, anyways, it was really intense. It was cool. Like even if the pictures hadn't turned out, like it would have been worth it because I never seen anything like that. And I'm, obviously I calmed down from it now, but I think it's just a combination of, all animals are somewhat in tune with the sun and wired into that, and so when all of a sudden the sun goes away, we're probably wired to have a response to that. But also, like I said, just the shot of adrenaline and trying to overcome that, it was exciting. So yeah, I want to go see. I'm ready for 2024. I mean, I don't want to like wish 7 years of my life away or anything, but that part of it, yeah, I'm ready to do that again. That was pretty great. And so yeah, I kind of wish I had taken in more of the scene and stuff like that visually, because I didn't have time. It was just that I was so hyper focused on looking at the sun and looking at the corona, and I did notice some things about the colors, and I did note. So for instance, the sky, I didn't know quite how dark the sky was going to get, and it doesn't. The sky stays kind of like the deep blue you get, after dusk. So the sky's like that, but then the moon, where the moon is covering the sun, obviously. So that part is like pitch black, or at least it could be an optical illusion caused by just the fading of the corona. I don't think so, because that's kind of how my my photos look too. So that was interesting. And then the mountain peaks had this golden glow to them, which was cool. And I was able to see Jupiter, and because I should look for stars. So I saw Jupiter, and I'm pretty sure I saw Mercury. I think I knew where to look for it from some of the stuff I saw beforehand. So I've never seen Mercury before. So that's kind of cool. But just checking out the whole scene, it goes 2 minutes goes fast, and when you're spending half of it taking pictures, or probably a little more than that, it goes fast. But it was cool. So in terms of the pictures, the first one I'll show you is from with the longer lens. This is the closer up image of the eclipsed sun and the corona, and there's that. And pretty standard photo of an eclipse, I think, but I'm pretty happy with it for being a first timer at this. And you could see coming out of especially the upper left and the lower right, some kind of streaks of the gases coming off of the sun. So yeah, that was shot at 400 millimeters, and it's been cropped in a little bit since then. But yeah, kind of cool stuff. And then so that was kind of my secondary goal, was to get that. I'm happy with what I got. In terms of that, my primary goal then was the landscape. That was what I was setting up for, and what I was talking about the foreground for, and all of that earlier. So I'll pull that up. And I have some editing yet to do on this, but I'm pretty happy with it. It's a pretty good impression of what the scene looked like. The areas down below the peaks in the canyon was really, was really dark, and so I had to really work. In fact, it was kind of luck that I have an image with any detail from there, because as I was watching the eclipse, once I was mostly done taking photographs, I still had the remote release, so I was just using that to kind of take long exposures of random lengths, just in case I would need them for something. And it turns out I did, because other than one of those where there was detail in the foreground and in the middle ground, all the rest you could see the mountaintops and you could see the sky and the eclipsed sun, but everything else was pretty well black. So fortunately I did have that longer exposure, which made this possible. But I just thought it was really cool how the peaks stayed kind of lit, this glowing. It was almost like someone rigged up a bunch of yellow lights to shine at the peaks for the event, which of course isn't true. They must just be being higher, they're getting more reflected light or something like that. So there's kind of three sets of peaks. The rightmost is Grand Teton. So the highest peak on the right side, so there's like three little teeth in that right grouping of peaks. And the tallest of those, the leftmost of the right group, is Grand Teton itself, which is the tallest peak in the park, but just because of perspective, it doesn't quite look as tall as the middle. I don't know the names. I should look up the names of the other two peaks that you see there. But I'm pretty happy with this. Like I said, I've got some more work to do with it in terms of the processing to get it to be quite where I want it to be. But it's tricky because I don't want to like overdo the foreground, because that's not how it was in real life. And I think you could see a little more than this with your eyes, but not a lot. It was mostly the peaks and the sun. And of course the sun looks much bigger, and I knew I mean, the photograph doesn't lie. In relative terms, this is a very wide-angle image, but in relative terms, that's how big the sun is compared to the peaks. But sort of in your mind, when you're looking at it, it looks like 10 times the size of what it looks really, really big. And it's the photograph tells the truth, but it doesn't work quite the same as human perception does. So, yeah, everything went so well. Like really, yesterday and today, I thought getting around was going to be. I really thought the crowds were going to be awful, and it was going to be traffic jams everywhere. And maybe if I was trying to get in, I don't know what it was like for people who were trying to get into Grand Teton, at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock or anything like that. But at 6:30, there was people, but it wasn't a problem at all. And yesterday in Yellowstone, not the only problem I had was getting back into Yellowstone from Grand Teton. There was kind of a really unnecessary back up there that cost me 40 minutes, but that's it. Knock on wood. I'll be going back through Yellowstone tomorrow, but it was so easy, and the weather couldn't have been better. It was a little cloudy this morning, but you could see it was on its way out. I was never worried about it, and I had this moment. I just kind of stopped thinking about it because it was clear. There's it wasn't like I had to pay attention to the clouds and might I have to select where I shoot from based on clouds. There's nothing like that. So I was just looking for the best spot for me. And after I had everything set up there, with about 10 minutes before the eclipse, I mean, Cascade Canyon, this is the second time I've been there. It's as beautiful hike as you'll ever do. I think in one of my other videos I said it was the best hike I've ever done in the national parks, and it certainly is one of them if it isn't the best. And the area where I set up is one of the most beautiful areas, if not the most beautiful. It's a great view of the peaks. They just really open up in that area. So it's a tremendous view. And so everything's set up, and I use 10 minutes to total. And I'm just sitting there like, holy crap, it's going to work. This is really going to, I'm really going to see this. This is real. At this point, no cloud can move in fast enough to screw this up. And so, so it was really, it was really cool. And it's the thing I love about the national parks, the thing I love about, I like experiencing the sublime. And I like that feeling of smallness, that there's this whole, the earth and the universe and all that, there's this whole bigger operation going on than has anything to do with me. And, it's kind of strange because in the scheme of it, each individually, we're not, the earth doesn't care about us. We're not that big a deal. And I kind of like that perspective of things and how grand it is, and having that sort of experience of the sublime, and nowhere does that more consistently than the national parks. And that's why I love visiting the national parks and why I love photographing the national parks. This was kind of the ultimate. I mean, to be in a place like this when there's a total eclipse going on, and like I was by myself. Like I said, there's another photographers a little bit down the trail, but not within earshot, and so for all intents and purposes, I was by myself, and excuse me. And so to be there by myself, I mean, have a photo, like if anyone else admires that photo, like they can't go make another one. That event isn't happening again. There, not there. So so that's cool. That was once in a lifetime kind of thing. So I'm really appreciative of Chad and Nikki for putting me up at their place on my way out on Friday night, and for the people I work for. I mean, Sue's great, and it's a busy time of year at the university, and when I went and said, "Oh, this eclipse is happening. Can I have the week off? Because this is I really it's really important." There's no call. Oh, yeah, sure, go ahead. We'll work it out. Which, I mean, that's that balance is important. And I see I got a couple viewers here. One of them's probably Kelly. So my wife, I wish she had been here. But she's growing our human right now, so it would have been a little much for someone who's 7 months pregnant to be doing getting up at 3. Well, getting up at 3 might not be unusual, but it's the 12-mile hike part or whatever, and it probably was, and I probably walked more than 12 miles. That might have been a little much. So, but couldn't do it if she didn't support me too. And I wish we got to get to 2024. You got to see it. And our little one will be 7. So yeah, that'll be cool too. So anyways, I think I'm rambling on long enough. I'm going to try to play the video of my reaction from immediately after, again, to close this out. And if it doesn't work this time, I'm just going to stop the stream, and I'll post it on the Facebook page at facebook.com/nationalparksartist. So then tomorrow, more Yellowstone, and start working my way back. And well, first thing is I got to I'm probably done editing for tonight, so I got to get these, but I'll have prints. Unless the printer screws up, I'll have prints at Art Street in Green Bay this weekend. which is going to be really cool to be able to show these prints within, the same week that the eclipse happened. I think there's going to be a lot of people who want to talk about that, so that's cool. Excuse me. And so, anyways, so here's the video, and thanks for watching. And until 2024, this is it. Thanks. Bye. And to see that, man. This seems irrational. How I'm reacting to it. There must be, either it's just the anticipation, and I knew I wanted to see this, and coming all this way, and having it actually happen. Because there was a moment about 10 minutes before the total where I had everything set up, and I just kind of looked around in this absolutely spectacular spot and was just kind of like, wow, this is really, it was not a cloud in the sky, this is really going to happen. And then, so I was ready, I tested everything, I was ready for it. And then all of a sudden, and it's strange because it goes from too bright to look at to eclipse so fast. And then all of a sudden you see you all know what it looks like. I don't have to describe that. But, well, this trip was worth it. That was really something. Whew. All right, gotta look and see if I got the pictures.